Okay, I'm just going to run through the process of how you go about getting a dog to go into a crate, go into a cage, go into or onto a placeboard, go into a dog bed, go into a whatever else, back of a vehicle, anywhere, a particular location, using or incorporating a remote collar into that process. Now, it isn't solely remote collar. She's also can be rewarded when she's in there. She can be, in this instance, it's going to be the crate in the back of that vehicle. And she can be rewarded when she's in there, but I want to fade that out because I want her to go in there and settle down. I don't want her to go in there and be expecting a reward forthcoming. Equally, the remote training collar gets faded out as well because there's no need. Once she understands the process, then there's no need for me to keep using the remote training collar. It's just used basically to punctuate a command, and the command is going to be IN in this case, which means for her to go and get into the crate. So you can see that she's got a remote training collar on, just there. And on the top of the crate over here, you'll see a little white box that's blinking. And what that basically is a sound box that's programmed to the same frequency as the collar that she's wearing. So when I push the button to activate her collar, the sound box will sound, basically, so that you can hear when it's being used and when it isn't. So I'm going to show you this. Okay, so we're on level 10, which is her point of perception. And the collar is going to come on, and the command in, off. Okay, so the collar comes off the moment that she jumps in there. Now what I can also do is go over, good girl, and I can reward her when she's in there, and move away, and I'll bring her out, okay, good girl. And we'll go through the same process again, all right? So what I'm not doing is I'm not telling her to go into the back of the crate and then her not do it, so me push a button to correct her for failing, or do you know what I mean? Or she's halfway in and I'm correcting her for not being all the way in, or she jumps out and then I correct her for jumping out. That isn't what I'm doing. The collar is being used, and the collar should be used to teach this behaviour in the same way that you'd use a lead, in that you lead her over into the crate, and as soon as that she's got in there, the pressure from the collar is gone, the pressure from the lead is gone. And what you'll find, you can still reward her when she's in there in the early stages, or him when he's in there in the early stages. But what you'll find is that because you're using the pressure of the remote collar, like if you were to use the pressure of the lead to put the dog in, the release, the removal of that pressure once they get into the crate facilitates a far calmer response in the dog than purely rewarding. If I'm purely rewarding, I'm getting a state of anticipation, expectation, hope, arousal, and I don't want it. It's counterproductive to having the dog go into the crate and stay there and be calm whilst I'm doing whatever I'm doing, wherever I happen to be. Okay, so I want her to see getting into the back of the crate there, the back of the cage there, as being a good thing, because it basically removes the pressure of the remote collar and has a history of accessing, gaining reward. She's already done this, she's done this for years, so I'm just basically using her to demonstrate. But I'm going to do the same thing again. So the collar comes on, in, collar's off. All right, so you hear the beeping stopping once she gets in there. Good girl. Now, because this would be as I'm doing it early days, I go in, yes, I reward her, okay, I release her. And now let's fast forward. So let's say that we've done that for a while. So she understands the collar is remaining on whilst we get up to the vehicle. She jumps in, the collar's gone. If she jumps out, the collar's straight back on again, same level. And she's guided, if necessary, with a lead, or she's commanded with the instruction of the IN. And when she jumps back in, the collar's off again. So it's basically like a pressure pad. If she jumps out, the collar's on. When she jumps in, the collar's off. If she jumps out, the collar's on. When she jumps in, the collar's off. It doesn't take a genius of a dog to think it's more comfortable for me to remain in the crate. It doesn't have to, as you can see, it's got nothing to do with pain. It's just more comfortable for me, it's more pleasant for me to remain in the crate. I get rewarded when I'm in the crate than I do out of the crate. And as we move on, so I'm going to take the collar here now, back up to, where were we, 10, weren't we? So as we move on, I'm going to give her the command this, or I'll show you, the collar is going to come off far sooner. So the collar's going to come on first. In, collar off. Okay, so now rather than the collar staying on all the way into the crate, the collar comes off as soon as she starts moving towards it, because it's now serving as a prompt. So I give the command, I prompt with the collar, the behaviour begins, the collar goes away, she jumps into there, good girl, that's what I wanted her to do. Okay, on you come, bring her out again. And this time we'll do it without the collar, but it's exactly the same process. In. And I want her to lay down, right, so that's what you want. And the reason I'm not continuing to reward her is because I don't want her to be as I say, in a state of arousal, in a state of high arousal when she jumps into there. I want her to be calm like that, because that is more conducive to staying there for a prolonged period. I'll release her again. Okay. Good girl. I've just got to zoom out again. Does that make sense? Good girl. So that's what I'm doing. I'm using the collar, it stays on. You can hear by the sound it's on until she jumps in. If she jumps out, it comes back on until I give her that release command, that okay to release. There's one other little bit that I wanted to show you, which is the fact that if I bring her over here, good girl, right there. The collar that she's actually wearing is turned off. Okay, so she's not, the beeping is happening from the transmitter being pushed. So where were we? We were 10, weren't we? Oh, let's have a look. Yeah, we're about 10, something like that. I don't even know if there we go. The actual collar that's working is there. You see? So the only person receiving any sensation or any stimulation throughout that is me, not her. She's got a dud collar on. But it's just to prove, well, to prove two things. One, that the collar's not uncomfortable. And two, anybody who was looking at that thinking, oh, I can see her doing this, that and the other, the one that she's wearing, good girl, sweetheart, is there simply for show. It's turned off. All right, so I hope that makes it a bit clearer for you as to how you start the process, how you begin the process of getting a dog to go into a crate, getting a dog to go into a particular place with the use of a remote training collar and food.